You're about to see a clip from 1969. I'm David Hoffman, filmmaker, and I was a cameraman on this. It's University of Connecticut, 1969, a very tense time. Looked at from today, these could look like lunatic kids out of control. And some people thought they were, but a lot of people thought they weren't. Why? Colleges were dominated by males, old men, who ran the colleges and treated the students like they were children. College wasn't supposed to be more of childhood, but these folks treated it like children, and parents were sending their children to college for more of the same. These kids rebelled. You'll hear them rebel. They were radicals. They did break into the school. Take a look with the mindset that colleges and universities were not what they are today.
I know that President Babbage promised that when we would arrive at the skating rink, that the riot act would not be read. It was read. I say we sit in non-violently, and if President Babbage wants to come and talk to us, let him come and talk to us in here.
You go in there, you're going to provoke violence.
Every student on this campus in the same problem without justice behind you, and there's got to be something.
We have a...
Stand back.
Now it's perfectly clear that President Babbage will not let us demonstrate non-violently. And as far as I'm concerned, at this point, President Babbage is completely discredited.
They really think that I ordered them to read the riot act? Jack, in a community other than a university community, if a group of people assemble in this fashion, are they subject to an order to disperse?
Oh, they certainly are. In fact, I think they'd be arrested without even bothering with the order in an ordinary community. I mean, if this happened on the main street of Hartford and a policeman were subjected to this type of abuse, I mean, they just wouldn't take it. If this happened anywhere but a college campus, there just wouldn't be any discussion about it.
That's what they're arguing is being infringed upon, but we're not arguing that we want them to stop their education. Now, but don't try to stop ours, which you're doing right now, by cutting off our lifelines, by cutting off classrooms, and stopping 13,000 other people from getting an education. It's just not right. We want to inform a lot of the people in the state and around the nation that the University of Connecticut will not follow a small radical minority in the ruling of this campus.
And you're not listening to both sides.
Everybody has a chance to speak.
No, they're not. We have asked to speak. I have not.
Everyone has a chance to speak. You're allowed to go to CS meetings and speak. You never do.
Nobody ever does anything.
Suspend those arrested.
Right. They estimate that we have a crowd of approximately 1,200 people here. If that isn't a mandate for continuing the policies that we've had on this campus, then I don't know what is. I think we've given the news media what they've asked for today.
We believe that the majority of students at this university oppose the tactics of the minority. We wish for all to know that this minority is strictly such. They are but a handful and do not command significant support.
They put us up against the wall. They put Richie up against the wall. That we have no other alternative. There's nothing else we can do. If these professors want to hold out on grades, if you want to do this other stuff, this is fine. This doesn't do a thing for Richie. It doesn't do a thing for the movement. All we've got right now is for the strike.
I tell you, this is the end. If it's tonight, I'm going there, and they can grab me right away, and I'll go very glad.
That kind of decisiveness on the part of that individual gives me the impulse to call for a strike at this moment. All those in favor?
Aye.
This is in favor of a student strike. All right. All those opposed? Right.
Well, you know, the Christmas holidays, as we talk right now, are only 6 days away. And to be perfectly candid with you, my hope is that we can keep the lid on until the Christmas holidays arrive. We have then 2 weeks of vacation. We have 1 more week of classes, examinations, another vacation between semesters, and hopefully in 6 weeks of a scheduled moratorium, a lot of people are going to collect their wits. Calm down. Start to think again.
We'll show you the books that they've written. You can read all these wonderful things at our university. We present this university on your behalf, for your benefit. You pay your money, and you come in here, and you read, and you'll be able to put your head away forever. Step right up, ladies and gentlemen.
That's why we went in. That's why we interrupted Dow. We said, sure, we're interrupting their civil liberties, their civil privilege to have an interview, but this country is interrupting the civil rights of people in Vietnam to live, to have an existence. And we thought that that was more important than someone's civil liberty to have an interview. But if we were in a society that was moral, if we were in a society where all people had civil rights and civil liberties, if we were in a world where all people had civil liberties, then I would say nobody should violate your civil liberties at all. But when you're living in a society that's corrupt, that's amoral, that exists to make profit, that puts one man against another man and calls it motivation, then there's no right to respect one type of civil liberties. People like to call us communists and say we're a bunch of reds, because then they don't have to deal with our politics. You see, that just can't, you know, they call umpires communists too. Then they don't have to deal with us if they just say you're a communist. But the communists are not the people to be worried about in this world right now, because the communists are just another form of imperialism. The communists are imperialists just like the United States are imperialists.
You seem to think that everyone who goes through high school and then doesn't join SDS doesn't read books or something.
No, that's not true, man, because I went through high school too.
It's not true.
You know?
I think for myself.
The time is now, man. The time is now to say, well, maybe some of those things aren't right, you know, and let's look around and see what the truth is.
The problem is that the university has decided that anyone who's going to use their right to freedom of speech is going to get bumped out of school, you see.
Well, that's your interpretation of it. Just get out of the house. Get out of here. We don't want you around here.
We're taxpayers just as much as you are.
Yeah, so are we.
Why was he a professor?
I decide also that we don't want you here, so just get out. You're going to have tea.
Where were you in the 50s when people were being taken out of their jobs?
All right, well, we're saying very possibly, you know, you paid your money to learn botany, and we're saying maybe, you know, you could use that money or that education for other reasons.
All right, and I do it on other time. I was there last night, I was there the night before. But don't tell me that during my classes, when I came here to learn, to listen to someone who has a PhD or a master's or something, tell me about a special subject that I can't learn about something else.
Yeah, but what we're saying is that you have very little choice over who you're going to listen to and who you're going to be taught by. That's one of the things we're trying to say.
All right, then please, because maybe I don't even want to listen to it.
Not a question, but I'm a senior and I'm using the placement office, and I want to know why you think you have the right to interfere in my getting to a placement interview.
I wouldn't allow a Ku Klux Klan meeting to go on in my house in Enfield from where I live. You know, I feel as long as you let it happen in your own home, then that's kind of a way of condoning it. You know, this is my home, just like it's your home, and I don't feel that you should infringe on certain of those happenings.
Well,
yes.
Why should you have them off? That's for you. Why can't I have them on? That's for me.
See, this is the whole compromise. That's the only answer.
So I'm supposed to compromise.
Well, no law is just if it affects a majority while a minority is still impaired. You can't infringe on some people's rights. They have to appeal to everyone.
It makes it right if the majority is infringed upon for the minority's will.
No, they wouldn't be infringed. I'm not stopping their recruiting. A half a mile off campus isn't that much. It's just that I want recruiting out of my house.
Well, I live here too. I want it in my house.
We start demanding things like 1,000 black students before next year, and 500 Puerto Rican students as opposed to the 4 we have now. We not only we have 4, and we not only have like a real issue that appeals to everybody.
Well, actually, I'm not in favor of it.
Can you tell me why?
I'm paying for a kid's education. I want them to get the same. and I don't want to see the disruptions that go on all the while.
What are they demonstrating against? I mean, they're going to I feel they're going to a school that's offering them an education. It's offering them advantages that most of their parents didn't have. They have a right to object to certain situations, but I don't think that forceful demonstration is a means to an end.
Can't see it.
Can't see it?
No, sir.
Can you tell me why?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, I think you're up here for an education, right?
Yeah.
So what's the purpose of the strike?
I see. Well, do you approve of this, the educational system here?
Well, I don't know yet. I'll let you know in a year.
If it wasn't for my parents at this particular time, and though sometimes I failed to express this to them, I probably would have really gotten keeled over. Not only just in the material sense, but just in terms of support, because I know a lot of kids right now are so-called, as the psychiatrist would say, alienated from their parents, you know, mad with their parents. A lot of the kids up here have had a lot of hassles with their parents, you know, cut off funds, we don't want to see you, don't do that again. But I've gotten great support. In fact, I went to Babbage and spoke to him in my behalf.
My father's dead. My mother kind of just wants me to make it, should we say, and she realizes I'm not going to make it this way. She realizes things are wrong, but she's like first generation. She feels that America's, you know, with even its faults, is still like the best place on earth, and that whole bag. So she's, you know, worried about a lot of things too. She's worried I'm not going to get through with school, which you know, is her dream. That, you know, all her boys go to college and become doctors, I guess. The deeper you get in, the more you realize that the system is not going to bend. It's not flexible. It will only, you know, bend to a certain point, and then it comes down hard. And so I think you're not going to accomplish it through the ballot box. And you're not going to accomplish it through changing people's minds for the even very simple reason you don't have access to their minds. Through the media, through just talking to them. They're not interested. So I guess you know, sad to say, you pick up a gun and start changing it.